Well, flooding in Nigeria has become a recurring phenomenon, which sometimes has a devastating impacts on the livelihood of human and the infrastructural development. Well, the causes of the problem have been linked to rapid population growth, poor drainage facilities, decaying infrastructure, as well as poor practice of dumping waste, climate change, amongst other things. The annual ritual flooding that so often has besieged and submerged metropolises across several states have degenerated from being a recurring decimal to a recurring death crisis. In recent years, the menace appears to be worse, with a lot of reported cases indicating how communities across Nigeria were ravaged when the water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon was released. Well, joining us now to discuss flooding as well as the other environmental challenges in Nigeria is the president of the Nigerian Association for Engineering, Geology, and the Environment, Dr. Waliu Adeolu. Great to have you here on Newsday. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Awa.
Well, the intro was really quite straight to the point. It happens every year, but for whatever reason, we can't seem to get a foot ahead of it. What are we doing wrong in Nigeria, and what could we be doing better in terms of handling our recurring flood crisis?
Well, thank you very much, Awa. I think one critical thing here is when we look at every situation, we can always look at it in two perspectives, either looking at it as half empty or half full. I appreciate your question when you said, what have we been doing wrong and what is it that we can do better than what we've been doing, just so that we can stem the tides of the impact of this flooding on the environment. Of course, I agree with you when you mentioned in your introduction saying Lagdo from the Cameroon has contributed immensely to the flooding. I would have to state for the record that we have in about 36 states of the country, over 32 of those states have been constantly affected by flooding. In recent years, in recent months, Adamawa State, out of the 21 local governments, we have 14 local governments that have been affected massively. And about, if my memory serves me well, we have about 16 deaths from there. We do not gain anything from losing any life in this country. So what do we do differently? What are the causes? You've mentioned some of the causes. It is down to our activities as human. It is down to government policies not being, consistent with the intentions that they display. Of course, I always say this is multidisciplinary because multifaceted, because both the individuals, both the citizenry and the government has a joint role to play here. And what do I mean by that? If you look at it, most of the floodplains that are supposed to take the water downslope into the oceans are already silted up. And when I say silted up, they're already filled up with silt, with dirt and materials that are needed to be constantly dredged to allow for massive volume of water to be taken through this. And you would agree with me that there are different flooding patterns. There could be, we could have the coastal floods and the urban floods and all of that. But the most important thing is making sure that we have a systematic release of the dams that produce much flow into this, what we call the floodplains downslope. And we must be innovative in our thinking as to using the water volume from these dams for things that are economically productive, such as, irrigational activities. There are so many parts of this country that are not, they are suffering from, getting adequate water for irrigation activities. What can we do as a people, as a government, so that we can channel this water as against having it gets filled, the dams get filled and releasing them annually, and it has become like a ritual. And people now know that, they have to live where they are staying. If you would recall in 2022, over 2.5 million people were moved away from their places of, natural abode And this we can avert by putting the water into good use, consistent dredging of the floodplains. We can also, you know, how much are we even harnessing the hydroelectric power generation in the country? We are not generating anything. Can we be very holistic as a government and as a people engage meaningfully the government such that we can have a readjustment and a readjustment in the mindset of everybody towards the flooding? It does nobody any good at the moment, and we really need to look at this. And the association has been doing a lot, engaging the Ministry of Environment, the mother body of the association, which is the Nigerian Marine and Geoscience Society, and the association itself. We've been, of course, engaging governments, giving them the required information so that they can, of course, look at these suggestions holistically, and then we can make this thing a thing of the past, even if we cannot totally do away with it, but we can minimize its impact on the country. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Adeolu, how much of all the flooding we are seeing right now is down to climate change? Because you know, we've mentioned Lagdo Dam, and releasing of waters there has caused quite a lot of discomfort, and actually it's swept through several local governments in the north, even coming down to the south. But how much of this flooding we're seeing right now is down to climate change?
Okay, well, you would agree with me that climate change is like a major contributor to it. The particular percentage, because researches are still ongoing in this, and I would refrain from giving a particular percentage. But what I can say is climate change is a major contributor to the flooding, and because the extent of the rainfall we've been getting before has now increased massively, and we've not looked at a projection, a futuristic projection, so as to see this gradual increase, or let me even say this immediate increase that we are seeing as a result of climate change on the rainfall production in the country, and inconsistent trends to which we have been getting from there. So if you ask me, I think climate change has really done quite, is the major contributor to what we are having in recent time. But how the kind of the quantity and the percentage of the influence, I may not be able to provide here. But what is key, as much as we know is part of the cause, is for us to be proactive and not just reactionary. And what the climate change advocates all around the world have been telling us is for us to plan well ahead for this imminent, should I say, I don't want to call it disaster, but imminent changes in the environment that may be coming. Thank you.
All right.
And in terms of planning, how well do you think the Nigerian Environmental Protection Agency has done for this upcoming flood season?
Okay, well, I recall in August 2023, they issued a warning to about 12 states saying the possibilities of flooding in some of these states. And that was in August, precisely August 2023. And I think you will see that this year we've not really recorded so much casualty. And I think it's because of the early warnings that have been issued by the National Emergency Management Agency that has stemmed the tides of this impact, especially on human beings and, of course, properties.
Wow. I would have loved to ask more questions, but unfortunately, Dr. Adeolu, we're actually out of time. I want to say thank you very much for stopping by here on Newsday today.
Thank you very much.